What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Keep It Kula Podcast. Today I'm joined by host of Leafs Talk and the JD Bunkis podcast. Welcome to the show again, JD Bunkis.
Yeah,
Thanks
no problem.
for coming on, man.
It's good to be back.
Lots to talk about. I know you're crazy busy, and I've been bugging you for the past, 6 weeks or so to come on the podcast again, and you have been crazy busy with this amazing Jays run that we've had and that we're still getting over. Obviously, I have to talk about it a little bit. Not going to do too much of the, sad stuff. But how are you feeling? How are you getting over the Jays loss now, having to kind of watch the terrible Maple Leafs instead of...
I'll never get over it. Yeah, the run was amazing, and I have a ton of positive memories from it, and I will have those for the rest of my life. I got to watch some of those games with, dear friends. I got to be there for every single game except for one of them at home. It's the best atmosphere I've ever been a part of from like a sports fan perspective. My family was invested. I had friends from just about everywhere get excited about the Blue Jays. The team was unbelievably likable. I thought that they represented the city and the country and the sport unbelievably well. God, I think I've said unbelievably a lot, but
True, though. It's true.
Yeah, I will always cherish the positives, but it will always unfortunately come with the caveat that they lost in one of the most sickening ways that a team could possibly lose, and that just doesn't go away. That sits with you. That sticks with you. And so 20 years from now, you'll probably be talking to a friend about a memory that you had from the run and how amazing Ernie Clement was, right? But someone will go, man, if IKF just takes a little bit of bigger lead, like something, if Jeff Hoffman just does his job, just something along those lines will come up and you'll go, yeah. So yeah, I'll never fully be over it. I'll never turn into like a participation award, get the trophy, get the participation parade. It'll be great. It'll be positive, but it'll always haunt me.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to get over it. The first 2 or 3 days were like waking up, after like a bad breakup or something. And like, you just can't feel like you can move on. And then like you do, and it's there. Mm-hmm. My thing that I'm doing to get over this loss, and it's crazy, and I've been roasted already for saying it, is that we're going to pull some crazy stuff and build a dynasty because of this loss. That's what I'm using, is that...
I'm doing that too.
It's crazy. I get it.
I'm not going as far as dynasty, but I have been focusing on what do they do in the offseason and what's next. Like, I think the breakup analogy is apt there, where it's like you might have regret from an old relationship, but the old adage is very true. Like, the best way to get over an old one is to get under a new one, right? So that's the way I think it's got to be.
Yeah, going into this offseason now with there's a lot of names who are interested, and are the Jays going to be able to attract them because of what they did this year, kind of being 2 outs away from winning a World Series, right? There's guys like Kyle Tucker in the mix who I think will want a lot of money. There's some big pitchers and closers. Do you see the Jays kind of getting those big names, or do you see those guys going to the other big markets like the Mets or the Yankees or the Dodgers?
I think it's kind of early to tell in terms of like what exactly is going to happen. The market at this point, to me, feels more just purely speculative, of some insiders throwing out early stuff. Like, a lot of the baseball free agents don't move until much later, right? Once they've been given some time to sort of develop their markets. But what I would say is, at this point, I would be pretty surprised if the Jays don't make some kind of a splash. And I'm a believer in Bo Bichette. I think that they should be trying to bring him back. I don't want to pivot off of that player, especially given the alternatives to pump up your infield. But yeah, I don't know if I'm supposed to expect a Kyle Tucker when Vladimir Guerrero Jr. just signed for $500 million and you're looking at a Bo Bichette ticket and a litany of other reasons. But at this point, yeah, if they weren't in on at least a few of these guys, and if they didn't land one of the premier free agents, you'll be talking to me in a few months, and I would be saying that's a pretty bitter disappointment.
Yeah, looking at Bo's contract that he's going to want, how much, if you're a part of this front office, how much are you willing to pay him? How many years? Because he's not a great defender, obviously, but we see what his bat can do, and we saw it in Game 7 of the World Series, and we saw it all year long. what is the price that you would be willing to pay for him to come back?
So it's always been really hard to kind of get anybody pinned down on what Bo Bichette should be making, right? Like,
100%.
This has been a conversation now for 2 years. I've had 1 billion people on my show, and none of them have given me like a fully concrete answer. But what I would say is like, you kind of feel like it would be a win for the Blue Jays if they could get something done for under $200 million.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think that teams are willing to go, say, the full 10 with Bo Bichette, but I also am not against the idea that he gets like an 8-year contract with the Jays, somewhere in like the $180 million range, and you feel like you've got your second baseman or at maybe some point a DH. They've got no free agent contract usually ends up looking great in hindsight. A lot of them, you're saying, hey, the back years are going to be very difficult. We thought that with George Springer, and then it turned out that he had this incredible year last season. But with Bo, I think that the work ethic, I think that the body of work in terms of the hits that he has put up, it's probably going to profile for the next few seasons. And that's the way that I'm looking at this Blue Jays team is you need to be able to capitalize on this window. And if it means giving Bo Bichette 2 years beyond what you would have normally felt comfortable doing, I'm all for it. So I think I'm in the camp of like way more comfortable paying him than the average person. Mm-hmm. I think that probably makes me more of a fan than an analyst of it. I don't think I'm looking at this through like a cold, calculated lens. But I also just think like, again, this has to do with the alternatives, and the alternatives are not overly attractive to me in comparison to Bo Bichette. So yeah, sign him to a bigger deal, one that could look ugly.
Yeah, I think Bo Bichette is definitely that top name right now, and considering what we saw from him. Speaking of another free agent that we got last year, Santander was, invisible all year. When he played, he was bad, and then he was out for most of the year. Should we expect to see anything different next year? Should we expect to see him getting, hitting and actually being a factor of this team and playing in the outfield well?
Yeah. I don't think he'll ever play in the outfield well.
Yeah.
And I don't think that he will be the DH next season because that's going to be occupied by George Springer. I got to say, I'm not overly optimistic about the Santander signing. He was hurt all last season. He was not a positive player for them. He comes back in the playoffs and has some decent at-bats, but overall didn't really do too much, and then pulls himself from the playoff roster with those injuries. This is the positive spin I can give on it is I don't think it can get worse. I think what you saw was as bad as it could possibly be. Mm-hmm. That's the furthest down, and that you will get more. Like, he's going to hit better next year, I would have to believe, than what he provided for them this season. So do I think he's going to return to 44 home runs? I don't. But do I think that it's unreasonable to expect over 30 from him? I also don't think is unreasonable. So, yeah, if you just look at like some of the regression that might happen with like a Nathan Lucas or a Davis Schneider or somebody like that, I think Santander represents somebody that can pick up the slack from unproven players because his track record is a little bit more significant.
Yeah, I definitely hope to see something a little bit better. Looking at Springer and the year that we got to see from him and one of the greatest seasons we'll see. Should we expect a bit of a downfall in this next year with his age and just with the injuries that he's faced this year, or do you think that the heater can continue for 2026?
I wouldn't think that he's going to finish, top 5 in MVP voting. Yeah. It's probably a pretty unreasonable bar. But I'm far more optimistic about the final year of his deal than I was even the day that he signed it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see any reason. Like, he hit throughout the postseason despite being injured. Him staying healthy at that DH position, I think, is huge. Him not having to put the miles on the tires playing the outfield is massive. He's one of his generation's best hitters. He's hit throughout the course of his entire career. I think you expect a drop-off, but my hope is that it doesn't just completely fall off of a cliff. My hope is that it just levels out to somewhere where he's still in the 800 OPS range. He's a positive contributor, and you feel like if you get to the playoffs, he's healthy and still can be a clutch bat for you.
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping, and it's like we have other names obviously that we don't know what we're going to see. If it's if a Max Scherzer stays, if a Chris Bassett stays, and I know you have your feelings about Hoffman, and it's like, how do you feel about Hoffman kind of still being in that closer position next year? I know everyone has opinions of what we saw this year. He was fantastic in October, and then come game 7, it ultimately led to the losing. How do you feel though about going to game 1 of the 2026 regular season and seeing Hoffman come out there with the lights and the Kid Cudi song and all that?
Not great. I don't think Jeff Hoffman is an elite closer. I just don't. Yeah. I think that he performed well throughout the vast majority of the postseason. He's not the only guy to blame for them losing the World Series.
100%.
But ultimately, he got burned by something that was a problem all year long, and that is the long ball. And that was him working himself into those kind of counts. And it bit him in the ass. So I think that Jeff Hoffman can be a good reliever. I think that he's important to this baseball team. I wouldn't, to be honest, like I'm just an overly sentimental person who will think about him in that music every time I watch him pitch. So if they ended up trading him, I wouldn't be like crestfallen about it, but I don't think they will. I think that he'll be a part of the team next year. My hope is if you're going to be like a real aggressive spender, if you're going to materially change who you are, which I'm not sure the Blue Jays will, then I think it would behoove them to go out and spend real money on one of these bigger name relievers, one of these bigger name closers. To me, it felt like all year long they had like a few guys that could maybe close games, and even after the deadline, Sir Anthony Dominguez and Louis Varland, but no real lock it down nasty. You feel like this guy is absolutely going to sap the life out of you with the game on the line. And so, yeah, I'd like to see somebody else in that role. I thought that Ross Atkins hinted at it at his media conference. I just don't. The reason why I say free agency, even though those contracts are bad, is like you saw what relief pitching goes for at the trade deadline now. It's not cheap to acquire. You can get it. So it's an area where you can leave it and say, we'll eventually be able to add some arms, but I don't view the prospect pool as so overly deep right now that you want to be removing from it to add bullpen arms that are temporary and equally volatile. I'd rather just pay the money and act like a big boy club and then suffer the consequences if it doesn't work out.
Are there specific names that you would want to see, or would you just want to kind of put one of our other guys kind of in that?
No. It's definitely not internal. Like there's no answer internal. If there was, he would have lost his job during the season. I'd like to see them go out and get like a Suarez or a like Edwin Diaz, like somebody who has got the track record as a closer. Whereas like Jeff Hoffman, this was his first year pitching in that role, and it didn't go well. Like he gave up the game time home run in a World Series game in the 9th inning. And before that, there were a lot of question marks as to whether or not he should be the guy, because again, he gave up a record amount of home runs at the Rogers Center. So to me, that's not a closer. To me, a closer is someone that finishes the game for you, doesn't extend it. And yeah, good postseason, some really great moments. The Mariners 6 outs was awesome. But yeah, no. I think that that's one of the easiest areas of improvement for them is to add a lights out guy at the back end.
Yeah, I would definitely hope so. And, speaking of relievers and closers, we had some shocking news this weekend about gambling in the MLB with Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz. We saw this in the NBA a few weeks ago. What is going on in sports world? These guys were gambling or putting their pitching on the line for what, like $12,000 or so. Yeah. They're making way more money in a 1 year or in a couple games at least. Why is this becoming a thing in the sports world? Is it because of the marketing of sports gambling? Is it because of, I don't know. I don't have another reason of that.
Well, no, I actually think that the reason is obvious, is that these things have always happened, but now we have way better mechanisms to catch guys. People didn't see gambling ads and start to go, I should gamble. They didn't need apps on their phones to think like, I should gamble. You have the Black Sox scandal. Like you can go as far back as baseball exists, and there has been gambling scandals. You had Pete Rose. Like this is a thing in sports. This has always been a thing in sports. Some guys will take a dive. Some guys will throw a prop. Some guys will shave a point spread. It's happened in college athletics. It's genuinely happened in every single sport that I can think of, there's been some kind of scandal around gambling. Hockey has actually been pretty decent. Like Pinto got suspended for, I think, gambling on team premises, but there hasn't been really something there when it's come to them. But like, this is just part of professional sports, is you collect this many athletes with this many competing interests. You're going to get guys who try and have illegal activities. I don't think that this is like systemic. I don't think, again, that this has anything to do whatsoever with like I know how people draw that conclusion. Like they see more gambling apps now. They have more friends who gamble and they think, okay, fantasy sports is bigger. They see more ads on television. They go, well, this is why. It's like, no, this is not why. The reason why it's happening is, like I said, they have these incredibly complicated algorithms that are able to flag weird betting patterns. And when you start to see money come in on stuff that nobody ends up betting on, these companies have hired out secondary groups that are able to flag this stuff. Like, I've worked with gambling companies before. They track everything. Like, they are extremely, extremely diligent in terms of what comes across their books. So when that happens, they don't want to lose money. They don't want to feel like they're getting scammed. They want to make sure that it's above board. They flag it and they get busted. And what I hope actually happens with this thing is that these athletes realize it isn't easy. Like Emmanuel Clase, apparently the way that he was doing it is like he's texting with the guys about his failures to execute the plan. Like, you're so obviously going to get busted doing this. It has happened to many different athletes now. They've tried to get really cute with it. They've tried to hide it. It often now circulates around individual prop usages, which I think are easier to manipulate than swinging full games. So to me, there's actually like a conversation on, hey, if you can't police this better, are you going to have to change the way that your sport regulates individual gambling props? But outside of that, like I said, I don't view this as an uptick in cheating. I don't view this as like causation because of sports gambling apps. I view this as an age-old problem that we actually have better solutions for, and I'm honestly more encouraged by it, if anything.
But why would they do this for such little money? And they could be facing up to 65 years in prison. Like, yeah,
because they're stupid. Like, they're stupid idiots. Like, there's no other way to say it. Like, Jonte Porter is dumb as a rock. Terry Rozier, clearly dumb as a rock. Emmanuel Clase. You're texting with people about this. Like, I think a lot of these dudes feel untouchable because they're in these circles and they can run into people and they feel like they're multimillionaires. They can get away with stuff, that they've got a buffer, that they've got a fall guy, whatever it is. I can't answer the question because I'm not them, but I just look at it and say, well, obviously a lot of this is rooted in either stupidity, desperation, because some of them get into other gambling debts, and I think that's like what happened with Chauncey Billups, or it happens because they are obtuse. They're ignorant to the world around them. So yeah, I think that those are like the leading causes if I had to like isolate them.
Yeah, definitely interesting how FBI is definitely cracking down on everything now, and I'm sure a lot of athletes are very scared, and yeah, we might be hearing about a lot more things happening around. A little bit of positive news here. Your Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, they're good.
Wow, they are impressive. I see your Russell Wilson picture up there. Definitely,
that might go for Sam. That might go for Sam Darnold soon. That might get replaced.
I think you have to. I think eventually, we last time you were on, I said I was excited about Russell Wilson playing for my Giants. That experiment kind of came and went.
But you're fine too.
Jackson Dart's the man. The team can't win a game, and every single guy is injured on our team, and we're kind of going through it right now. But I'm excited about the future. But man, your Seahawks, they kind of just went to 7-2, in my opinion, out of nowhere. Obviously, you've been following them a little bit deeper than other people, but what do you actually see this team doing? And Sam Darnold, like, can you guys make a run? Because you have a great offense, you have a great receiver, right? You guys have a lot of good things going. So, what do you see this team kind of doing in this I don't know, postseason eventually?
I don't think that they are going to win the Super Bowl this year, but I think that they are one of the teams that's absolutely in the mix. If you look at the NFC, and I talked about this on my show today, to me there are the Rams, who to me look the best, the Eagles, who should be respected for the pedigree, and the Seahawks and the Packers are kind of in that next tier down. The Packers have played down to their competition more often than the Seahawks have, but you give them a little bit more credit given that their roster was constructed in a way that was supposed to be a little bit more Super Bowl ready than the Seahawks, and they've also had a string of recent success, including their head coach. But I think the Seahawks are right there. They're as good as anybody. They've got one of the best defensive minds in all of football that's coaching them, which is going to be super interesting this coming week to see how they match up with the Rams and whether or not Seattle has the personnel and the scheme to slow them down. But yeah, I think that everybody expected them to be a tough out. That was a reasonably intelligent football fan, that they weren't just going to be some layup throughout the course of the season. But Darnold was perceived to be as this minor upgrade on Geno Smith, or potentially a step back from Geno Smith. There were people who looked at it and went, oh, I thought Geno was supposed to get this big contract, and you gave one to Darnold that you don't even really save any money on. This could be a very stupid move. The nerd community has always been unbelievably high on Geno Smith, and it has never matched the eye test for me. I was really excited to see Geno Smith go. He's proving to be awful in Vegas. Darnold, I think, is just a byproduct of what happens when you're a good pedigree player and you get surrounded by good coaching and good players. Like, this guy can make all the throws. He was a top 5 pick for a reason. And he has now had a multitude of seasons where he's been with like really, really good offensive minds. So I think the talent is there. I think that JSN is one of the best 3 receivers in all of football right now. So you combine all that, and I think you're seeing what you are, which is a fringy, scrappy contender.
Yeah, definitely can make a run. You know, this year, I feel like we say this every year early on. It's like, oh, a random team can win, a random team can win. It's always like the Chiefs or Eagles. There's something different about this year where, you know, the Colts are somehow like the top team in the NFL, and the Chiefs are iffy, and no one really knows, like, could this year be one of those years where you get a Super Bowl where you're like, how the hell did these two teams get here?
Sure.
Or, yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I definitely do. Listen, we're, what is it, week 10?
Week 10, yeah.
Yeah. So these things do change, and every year we do the exact same thing with football. Is it feels so urgent in the moment because there's only 17 games, and every one of them feels so important, and we make these like lock it down concrete takes, and then come the end of the year you go, oh, turns out it's Chiefs and Eagles again. I think that there's definitely a scenario where that could be the case. I think that is obviously, if I had to do like the favorite matchup at this moment, I would still say Chiefs and Eagles to each represent their conference, if not Chiefs and Rams.
Yeah.
But yeah, the AFC in particular is unbelievably flat. I think the Patriots are really well coached and scrappy. It's tough for me to say that Drake May is going to make a leap to the Super Bowl in basically his first year with this coach and in this offense. But they look good. They look tough. And everybody else looks crap. Like the Bills have a terrible defense. I don't trust them to beat anybody. I think that they designed their team to beat the Chiefs, and they still haven't done so in the postseason. They still don't have a go-to weapon in the clutch where when they're trailing, it feels like, okay, well, they're going to go to this guy now, or this guy's going to be able to get open. The Chiefs are 5-4. That can't be ignored. And they still don't have a run game. The Bengals are now a write-off. The Ravens' defense has been terrible all season long, and I think Derrick Henry looks like he's lost a little bit of a spark. The Chargers' offensive line is in complete shambles. I don't trust them to really do anything. They just lost their running back, the first-round pick, too. I don't trust the Jaguars at all. I think the Colts are kind of an interesting team in that they could go on a run, but do I really think Daniel Jones is going to make a Super Bowl? So, anyway, the point I'm trying to illustrate here is, I don't think that any of these teams are way better than the other. So I do defer to the experience and the winning track record and the pedigree of the Kansas City Chiefs, but it would not surprise me if literally any of the teams that I just listed made the Super Bowl this year out of the AFC. With the NFC, it feels more like 4 teams to me. The ones that I listed: Rams, Eagles, Seahawks, Packers, and there being a gap between the first 2 and the second 2.
Yeah, you know what? I'm Giants are out this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, they're not in it.
Listen, it was really fun watching Camp Scattaboo for the couple of weeks that we had him, and Malik Neighbors for one game, and Jackson Dart. I don't know if we're going to see him next week at all with his concussion. And yeah, the team is in shambles, but as a Torontonian, it's like I cheer for the Bills, of course. But yeah, there's definitely worries there because they can't win on the road. They have no defense, as you said. They don't have receivers at all. You know, Josh Allen is a great player, and there's no question about that. But as you said as well, you know, they're built to play the Chiefs, but it's like Chiefs too are an interesting team because last year, I know they won a lot, but they weren't good in my opinion at all. They were winning weird games, and then come playoff time, it's like they form into this new beast that cannot be stopped. So the Chiefs are always scary to me. I'm still gonna be cheering for the Bills, of course. I want to move on to hockey.
Sure.
I kind of hate to say that. Should we be freaking out over the Leafs, or is it just, you know, it's a couple weeks in and people need to relax?
No, I'm definitely freaking out. I think they suck, and I don't really see a roadmap back. Maybe the roadmap is that they still have a ton of talent up front that can change a game in an instant, the way that it did on against Pittsburgh. But overall, I look at the body of work and I see a team that doesn't defend very well, a team that does not play with an identity, a team that does not play with a ton of passion, and that needs things to kind of break their way in order to win hockey games. They could get better goaltending. I think that's going to happen for them over the course of the season. I'm not really sure how they correct the fact that they have a blue line that does not cover very well and does not know how to make a breakout pass and does not defend. I don't think that their team defends very well. I have real questions about the system that their coach has in place and the strategy in which they deploy to try to win. I look at their assets and think about how they could try and add at a trade deadline to bolster a team with this many holes, and I don't really see it. So, yeah, it's 16 games in as the time you and I are talking. I'm not sure when this gets released, but yeah, I don't think that this is a very good team. And sure, they might make the playoffs. Sure, they'll probably play better than they are right now over the course of the season for a stretch. To me, the bar with the Leafs is, are you a contender or are you not? It's the Austin Matthews era. There's no rebuild happening. Yes, they lost Mitch Marner, but the prospect of losing Mitch Marner was not, hey, are you going to go back to being a mediocre, crappy team? It was, hey, will more talent throughout your lineup help you win a Stanley Cup? And yeah, I don't see a lot of reason to be optimistic about how they're going to get there this season based on the way that they played through 16 games.
Yeah, you know, with this Leafs team, I grew up a Leafs fan, and then when they lost in the most heartbreaking way in 2013 in Game 7 against the Bruins, I was 11 years old, and my dad's like, "That's life as a Leafs fan. You either stick with it or you can change your team." And then after that, I actually became a Rangers fan. I started following Marty St. Louis. And then Lundqvist became my favorite player in the world, and Rangers were my life. Yeah. And all I cared about were the New York Rangers, and got to see them play a bunch. Lundqvist then leaves the Rangers, and I realized I don't actually like this team. I like the players. I'm now back to the Leafs, and it sucks. Listen, I didn't get to see any wins, and it's not like I had to jump on a bandwagon. It was the fact that I fell in love with players of a team. I don't have any relation to New York other than my love for the Giants. And so, you know, going from that team, from the Rangers team that I fell in love with and seeing how good they were to now watching this Leafs team that I'm back on. I think I'm back on mainly because of how much I love the Blue Jays and how much I embrace the city this summer. I'm like, I got to be back on this Leafs team. I hate it. And I don't I don't know if it's crazy to say, I don't think Austin Matthews is ever going to win a Stanley Cup.
I mean, it's fair. He hasn't won one yet, and he doesn't look like he's getting any better.
Like, is that so crazy to say that I think the guy, he's not the guy, and I think Tavares could definitely win a Stanley Cup with this team, even at his age, but just the kind of gamer that he is and the homer that he is. I don't want to see Matthews on this team anymore, and I know Leafs fans could probably come for me for that take, but I was way hotter on Marner as being the leader of this team over Matthews.
Yeah, I'm not there. I didn't think Marner was a leader, and I definitely don't think that. I don't even really know where to go with this. Like, I don't. Marner's time was done. He didn't want to be here. And do I think Matthews is necessarily going to win? At this point, it's getting harder and harder to say. I certainly don't think it's like this. The take anymore is Matthews is definitely going to win a cup, which was what it looked like at the outset of his career.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think that it's too far afield to say that, you know, if this season goes as poorly as it's looking right now, they'll get another shot to kind of retool it, revamp it. Maybe it's even a different management group. But that, yeah, I don't know if you see him finish his career with the Toronto Maple Leafs if things continue to backslide.
Yeah, I don't want to. Speaking of hockey, we saw the Olympic jerseys for Team Canada. Not a fan at all. What is your take on those jerseys?
Disgusting.
We've seen beautiful jerseys in the past. We saw beautiful jerseys for the Four Nations. I don't really understand what these jerseys are supposed to represent for Canada.
They're just ugly. I've been getting hit with a lot of unk talk because I don't like them on socials. I'm getting hit hard by the Gen Zs that are calling me unk. But yeah, I just think that they're ugly. I don't think that they're overly... I think it's too creative. Like, they're trying to be too cute with it.
Yeah.
And this happens with a lot of these apparel brands where they try and reinvent the wheel when the old thing was actually just working, and that nobody is... I don't think everybody is dying to just like buy the new different thing.
No.
And to me, the black maple leaf is like an inexcusable screw up. I just don't think that should ever happen. I think that somebody should have stepped in and been like, don't do this. Don't make the black maple leaf. Especially like I've seen people go like, I like the white one. And I'm like, yeah, because it's the closest thing to a classic. But also there's two tones. The stripes don't go around the entire way. It just, again, like, not to unk talk this, but it feels like they're trying to make a jersey that will sell to Gen Z as something that is like cool and hip and different, when in reality, what's in is retro. And that's why I think people liked the Four Nations jersey, is because it had like a classic feel to it. I think that this jersey is trash. It looks uncomfortable. I hate it. And I don't think I'll feel any differently when I see them on the ice with them. So yeah, 5 thumbs down, 10 thumbs down. I can't give this more thumbs down than what it has already. I don't even like the white one. I don't like any of the sweaters.
I don't like any of them. No, yeah. I have like one of those old school Crosby ones. Well, old school to me, I guess. I'm gonna rep that the entire way through. I'm not gonna get a new thing at all. Sports are definitely trying to get too cute. We see the NFL doing it. We see the NBA doing it with the NBA Cup courts. I absolutely hate those.
Yeah, but that's at least like it's like the City Connect thing with the Blue Jays. Like, I don't mind if your team does like a run of wacky jerseys, because there's going to be some fans, just like with the Canada jerseys, that like them.
But the courts, though.
Yeah, I don't have really an issue with it either. Like, it's like a little, they're just trying something. I don't think it's like the coolest thing ever. It's not making me want to watch more basketball. But like, I like the Raptors court that they have, the throwback one, and I go like
Wolves one, the neon green.
Yeah, it's too much. Yeah, there's some baddies in the bunch. All I'm saying is, like, to me, that is your club. That's your team. Team Canada is representative of the nation, and it's the return to the Olympics for the first time in a decade. So to come out with those is like, this is how we represent ourselves as a country. Mm-hmm. I just think it's even worse than the like, as long as if you would have told me, like, there's some teams that do horrible rebrands and they make like monumental mistakes. The Timberwolves had done it when they went to some of their new stuff versus the old. I think the Mavericks were a real criminal offender of it. Yeah. I think the Raptors are too, to be honest. Like,
agreed. The
Raptors going from the old school purples to just like the generic basketball logo, red and black. It sucks. It's completely uninspiring. I don't want to buy a single piece of Raptors merchandise. I've never felt compelled to since they changed the logo. The closest thing they got to was like the North stuff with the chevron, but that's because they won a championship. It's just boring. It's plain. A lot of teams do this. You want them to go back to the throwbacks. But yeah, this is a one-off opportunity for Canada, right? Like, they don't have... they don't play the following weekend. It's like, this is the Olympics. This is how we're going to remember them. And the thought that this could be the lasting vision of Sidney Crosby, obviously the golden goal will always be it. But like, the last time we see him on the ice is in like a black sweater with a black maple leaf on it. Makes me cringe.
I think that makes us a little bit excited more about hockey, maybe just the fact that we're going to see this. Like, Four Nations, I thought was like the coolest thing in the world last year, because the NBA All-Star sucks, and no one watches the Pro Bowl, and this was just like the best thing ever, and they united the country, like repping my Crosby jersey all week. It was awesome. I gotta let you go. So last thing, when I had you on last time, we talked about It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
your ranking, you had cricket over D. It remains. It remains like that.
I think cricket could be. I have episodes where cricket could be over anybody, so I don't even think like that's an insult. Like, it's just such a strong cast. Like the thing is that D rocks. Like the whole show, there's no character that sucks. Like I'm trying to think about who's my
None.
least favorite character on the show. Like I love all of this. I love the McPoyles. I love Artemis. Like
McPoyles grew on me. Yeah.
yeah, there's just no character that I think they've ever tried to swing on that was at least a recurring character that sucks. I don't know. Maybe this will come to me later, but no, they just do an incredible job with the casting, and all of the actors in it are great. The only thing that I will still stand on is that, yeah, I think Mac has fallen to the bottom because of the Rob Mac stuff and just the weirdness and the Ryan Reynolds thing. And I just look at him different now. I think
agree.
about it when I watch it. So Mac is last.
Agreed.
Mac
100%
is
agreed.
yeah.
Okay, I'm going to let you go, but breaking news I just got: Brian Daboll has been fired from the New York Giants. I'm not surprised. Listen, he went from being coach of the year to this. I got to take this in a little bit. I just got the alert literally right now. He's being fired. This is a good step in the right direction for this Giants team. I think Jackson Dart deserves he deserves a better coach. I know Daboll was in love with Dart, but he wasn't doing his job well, and I think this is a good step ahead. What do you think? I know I'm just like throwing this on you because it just happened now.
Listen, I have no take on it. This is you. It's your show and that's your team, so I think we just stick with your take.
All right, Giants are in a good place for 2026 and 2027. All right, JD,
All right.
I got to let you go. Appreciate you coming on. Everyone,
Yeah,
go
no
watch
problem.
Leafs Talk to hear about, everything Leafs, and JD Bunkis podcast every day, Monday to Friday. It's 2 hours now, right? Not 1 hour anymore.
It's 2 hours.
Back to 2 hours. So lots to talk about. Great show. JD, appreciate you coming on, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Jaclyn.
All right, everyone, thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.